Hey everyone, it's Cody, and today I'm here to sort of talk about and review 13 Ghosts, as you can see from the title. I'm actually sitting here at my computer, and it's for a couple reasons. The setup in my previous video just seemed to be sort of, I don't know, it was an odd placement. I just got this camera, I just got back into making videos, so it's sort of, I want to kind of do like a fresh, new type area. But today we're talking about 13 Ghosts. This is the 2001 13 Ghosts, not the, I believe this would be a remake of the 1959, 1960, something like that. This is the remake to that movie. I haven't seen the original, but I have obviously seen this one. I always remembered this one back when I was younger. I think I first saw it when I was probably 9 or 10, something like that. So probably a few years after it had already come out. And I always thought it was very scary in my opinion as a youth. And that scary factor really comes from the ghosts and what they look like. But now that I'm a lot older, I've realized that this movie is either good or it's bad. And for me, it's sort of, there's a middle ground to it. I'll kind of get into that a little bit as this review goes on. So it was directed by Steve Beck. Steve Beck actually, when was it? A year after this, I believe, is when Ghost Ship came out, and he also did that one, which is a remake. And if you kind of notice, right around this time, a lot of old school classic movies were being remade. The Haunting was remade. House on Haunted Hill was remade. 13 Ghosts, and I believe Ghost Ship was also from the 50s, and that was remade by this director Steve Beck, and these are the only two movies he's ever done throughout his catalog. It was written by Rob White. Neil Marshall Stevens did the screenplay for it, and it stars Tony Shalhoub, Shannon Elizabeth, and Matthew Lillard. Those are like the main people throughout the movie that you would recognize the most. I know Shannon Elizabeth, this was kind of like her peak. Right around this time, she did American Pie in 1999. She did this movie, and I'm sure she did some other ones. Right around this time. But yeah, so let's just get into my whole review of this. This movie has a lot of flaws throughout it. The biggest one being the way it's shot. I wouldn't say the camera work. The camera work is really good, but just there's a lot of cut and like flashes when it comes to like seeing the ghosts. It seems like you can't see a ghost for more than a few seconds without it flashing with like a strobe type effect, and that might bother people a lot. It might be kind of jarring to either new viewers or even people like me who just rewatched this for the first time in quite a few years. And it's one of those things where I feel like it put a lot of pressure on the editor, and I don't know who decided that this whole flashy effect with the ghosts would be a good idea, but it's just something that it doesn't appeal to me that much. As far as the whole plot goes, it's basically Cyrus Kritikos. He's a very wealthy man. He hunts ghosts, and he dies in the beginning of the movie, spoiler, and basically he gives his house to his nephew. And when they go to the house, basically you find out that in the basement of the house there's containment cubes with these ghosts, and he's made some sort of ritual in the centerpiece of this house where it gets set off, and basically one by one the ghosts' doors get opened and they become free. And these ghosts are supposed to represent different things in a ritual to basically open up the portal to hell. And it sounds very ridiculous, and it sort of is in the movie, but the way they go about it, I guess it works. I mean, like I said, it's good or it's bad. You can't really have, there's a middle ground, because I did see it when I was younger, and then when I watch it now, it's sort of, could go both ways. I feel like if you were to put like 20 people in a room and watch this, I feel like 15 wouldn't like it and 5 would. So there's that. When it comes to the stars in this, Matthew Lillard really takes the show. He does a great performance all throughout. It really feels like he tried to go back to his roots from Scream in '96, and he really, I wouldn't say he put his all like he did in Scream, but he definitely put a lot of effort into this character that he's portraying, which is basically a psychic sort of deal where if he comes within a certain range of either a ghost or if he just touches somebody, he sees their whole past, and it's one of those things where it seems like you just can't control it. The look of this movie I did enjoy. The house and basically the set design was very, very well done. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. It's pretty much a one location movie from, I'd say, 20 minutes until the end of the movie. They're in the glass house, and things doors keep opening, windows keep closing, stuff like that throughout the movie. And I did like how that looked. It was a very good setting for this movie, I would say. The ghosts themselves are very horrifying for this movie. They're just, the imagery of them is very good. All of them are obviously, they're practical for the most part. I'm sure like the torso isn't, it might be practical a little bit. Like I'm sure they had somebody with like a green screen mask over their head and on their legs and on their arms to kind of maybe like CG out that part. But other than that, every single one of the ghosts were practical. My favorite, I guess, ghost in this movie was definitely the Juggernaut. He's the first ghost that you see in the beginning of the movie. I actually searched up the actor, and the actor is a towering 6'8". So he's very intimidating when he's in this movie. The screen time isn't very much for Juggernaut. But I remember back in the day when I watched this movie, I liked the Jackal more. And I think I liked it because he hit his look with the cage over his head and just the long hair was very more, I guess, appealing to me, because when I was younger it was more of the way a movie looked, not so much necessarily the plot of the movie. But yeah. So overall, this movie was rewatching it, I'd say to somebody, if they asked me like, hey, what did you think of 13 Ghosts? Should I watch it? I would kind of tell them, I mean, you could, but if you decide not to, you're not really missing much. It's not like a horror movie that really impacted during this time, I would say. I believe, just looking at the IMDb right here, it's got a 5.6 out of 10, and I think on Rotten Tomatoes, it's low 15%. But I do have to say this is probably one of many of my sort of guilty pleasure type movies. I will either think about this movie or maybe just watch it once every 2, maybe 3 years. I'll just, sit down, decide, yeah, I feel like watching this movie. And that just goes back to being younger and seeing it at a younger age. Like, might as well get a nostalgia feeling throughout. But yeah, that was 13 Ghosts. I would give it a rating of either 2.5 or 3 out of 5. It's all going to depend on when I watch it, how I'm feeling sort of deal. But in this case, I'll give it like a 3 out of 5. I'll give it a higher score just because I was sort of, I was having a feeling, of watching a movie like this. But yeah, so to basically outro this video, I want to say thank you to all the people who have been watching my videos. I know it's not many of you, but the few people that do watch, thank you very much. If you do like this video, please consider liking. And if you want to see more videos of mine, please subscribe. Also, my Twitter is down below. I tweet every single day, typically telling you what I'm going to be reviewing. And you guys can comment on that thread, what I should talk about and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.